Few shows defined a generation of television quite like Dallas, 1978 to 1991. With its powerful storylines, ruthless rivalries, and unforgettable characters, the series became a cultural phenomenon, turning oil, betrayal, and family drama into must-watch TV. Week after week, audiences were captivated by the lives of the Ewing family, and the actors who portrayed them became household names. But as time has passed, many of the stars who made Dallas iconic have sadly passed away. Some left us under tragic circumstances, while others slipped away quietly, leaving behind a legacy etched into television history. In this tribute, we remember the lives and careers of the beloved actors who helped make Dallas a timeless classic, and whose presence is deeply missed. Larry Hagman, who played the manipulative and power-hungry oil baron J.R. Ewing, was 47 when Dallas premiered in 1978. His unforgettable portrayal of the charmingly sinister tycoon made him a television legend. Off-screen, Hagman's life mirrored some of the chaos of his on-screen counterpart. He married Swedish designer Maj Axelsson in 1954, and though they remained married until his death, their union was plagued by Hagman's severe alcoholism, infidelities, and long absences. They had 2 children, Heidi and Preston, but his relationship with them was described as emotionally distant during their youth. Hagman underwent a liver transplant in 1995 due to years of heavy drinking and was later diagnosed with throat cancer. His post-Dallas career never quite regained its former glory. He took on smaller roles and dealt with health and financial issues. He struggled with depression in his final decade, worsened by his wife's declining health and eventual passing in 2016. Hagman died in 2012 from complications of acute myeloid leukemia at the age of 81. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated at $15 million, a sharp decline from his peak earnings. Despite his troubles, he remained a beloved icon, often masking personal turmoil with public charisma. Barbara Bel Geddes, who portrayed Miss Ellie Ewing, the tender yet steely matriarch of the Ewing family, was 56 when she began her role on Dallas. A classically trained actress, she brought gravitas and warmth to the series, but her personal life bore heavy sadness. She was married to theatrical director Windsor Lewis, and they had 1 daughter, Susan. Lewis died suddenly in 1972, leaving Bel Geddes a widow and single mother. Following his death, she suffered from heart problems and breast cancer, undergoing a mastectomy in 1971, which deeply affected her both emotionally and professionally. After leaving Dallas temporarily in 1983 due to health issues, she returned, but by then, she had largely retreated from Hollywood. She never remarried and spent her final years in Maine, living quietly and battling declining health. Known for her private nature, she often distanced herself from Hollywood circles and lived modestly. Bel Geddes passed away in 2005 at age 82 from lung cancer. Her net worth at the time of death was estimated around $4 million. Though she avoided fame in her later life, she left behind a legacy as one of television's most dignified maternal figures. Howard Keel, who brought grace and integrity to the role of Clayton Farlow, Miss Ellie's second husband, was 64 when he joined Dallas in 1981. Once a major MGM musical star, his role in Dallas revived his fading career, but it came after years of professional decline. Married 3 times, Keel's first 2 marriages, to Rosemary Cooper and Helen Anderson, ended in heartbreak and infidelity. He had 4 children, including Leslie, Kaya, Christine, and Gunnar, though his relationships with them were described as strained due to his long absences and commitment to his career. His 3rd marriage to flight attendant Judy Magamal in 1970 was more stable, but not without difficulty. They faced financial hardships and frequent moves. In his later years, Keel was diagnosed with colon cancer, and though he remained active in fan conventions, he battled loneliness and health setbacks. He died in 2004 at the age of 85 from colon cancer. His estate was estimated at $1.5 million, much of it from residuals and real estate. Keel often spoke candidly about his regrets, particularly the distance from his children and his mismanaged finances, but he cherished his final years with Judy and their daughter Kirstine. Jim Davis, who embodied the rough-hewn yet principled patriarch Jock Ewing, was 67 when Dallas began and was praised for giving depth to a stern character. In real life, Davis was no stranger to struggle. He was married to Blanche Hammer, and they had one daughter, Tara Diane, who tragically died in a car accident in 1970. The loss devastated Davis and cast a long shadow over the remainder of his life. Though he continued to work, including on Dallas, he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma during the show's third season. Despite intense chemotherapy and deteriorating health, Davis insisted on working until he physically couldn't. Known as a stoic and kind man behind the scenes, he kept his suffering private and filmed until just months before his death. His marriage, already marked by grief, became increasingly silent as he withdrew emotionally. Davis passed away in 1981 at age 71. His estate was modest, valued at under $500,000, as much of his income had gone to medical treatments and debt. He was remembered by castmates for his unwavering professionalism and the quiet grief he carried from losing his only child. Ken Kercheval, who played the perpetually unlucky and obsessively driven Cliff Barnes, J.R. Ewing's nemesis, was 43 when he joined Dallas and remained a constant presence throughout the show's run. In contrast to his character's desperation, Kercheval initially enjoyed a thriving career. However, after Dallas ended, he struggled to find substantial roles and faced a series of personal breakdowns. He was married and divorced 3 times. His most public marriage was to Cheryl Paris, with whom he had 3 children, Caleb, Kristen, and Sean. All his marriages ended in acrimony, often citing his unpredictable temper and heavy drinking. One of the most haunting tragedies of his life occurred in 1989 when a daughter died of a drug overdose, sending him into a deep spiral. He later admitted to battling alcoholism and underwent rehab multiple times. Financial troubles also plagued him, and he was forced to file for bankruptcy in the 1990s. In later years, Kercheval lived modestly in Indiana, occasionally attending fan conventions but largely reclusive. He passed away in 2019 at age 83 due to pneumonia complications. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated to be worth under $1 million. Despite a life full of trials, he remained beloved by fans for his resilience and the depth he brought to Cliff Barnes. George Kennedy, who portrayed the imposing Carter McKay in Dallas, was 63 years old when he joined the series as the tough, power-driven oil tycoon who frequently clashed with the Ewing family. His towering presence and booming voice made him a formidable character, embodying the ruthless world of Texas oil. Off-screen, Kennedy's life was marked by tragedy and perseverance. He was married 4 times, twice to the same woman, Norma Werman. The couple had 2 children, including a daughter adopted from Ethiopia. However, the marriage was turbulent, plagued by long separations and Kennedy's struggle with depression after his wife's cancer diagnosis. His adopted daughter, Shauna, later died of a drug overdose, a loss that devastated him. Kennedy also suffered from chronic heart problems and lost much of his hearing later in life. After Dallas, roles became scarce, and he withdrew from Hollywood, spending his final years in Idaho, battling health decline and loneliness. Though he was respected in the industry, he lived modestly, with an estimated net worth of $1.5 million at the time of his death. George Kennedy died in 2016 at age 91 from heart disease, remembered as a gentle soul beneath a gruff exterior. Dak Rambo, who portrayed the charming and independent Jack Ewing, joined Dallas at age 44, bringing charisma and flair to the role of JR's suave cousin. His good looks and mysterious demeanor made him a fan favorite, but behind the scenes, Rambo struggled with deep personal pain. He was briefly married to actress Bonnie Lee Backley, but the relationship ended quickly and bitterly. He had no children and lived a largely solitary life. Rambo's career collapsed in the early 90s after he was diagnosed as HIV positive in 1991, forcing him to come out publicly during a time of intense stigma. He became an activist but faced brutal backlash from Hollywood, losing nearly all professional opportunities. Estranged from his family and enduring chronic health complications, Rambo lived his final years in seclusion on a ranch in California. He died in 1994 at the age of 52 due to complications from AIDS. His tragic decline from stardom to obscurity was a stark contrast to his vibrant screen presence. His estate at the time of his death was estimated to be around $200,000, with most of his savings spent on medical expenses. Keenan Wynn, who played the troubled and emotionally volatile Digger Barnes in Dallas, was already 61 when he took on the role of the bitter oil wildcatter and Jock Ewing's old rival. He brought layers of vulnerability and intensity to Digger, reflecting much of his real-life turmoil. Wynn was married twice, first to actress Evelyn Abbott, with whom he had 2 sons, Ned and Tracy. Their marriage ended in divorce, with Eve later marrying his best friend, actor Van Johnson, a betrayal that haunted him for years. His second marriage to Charlie Hudson also ended in separation. Keenan's personal life was marred by alcoholism, which affected his relationships and damaged his career. He suffered a stroke in the early 1980s and became increasingly reclusive. Financially, he faced several bankruptcies, and medical costs eroded what remained of his once substantial earnings. He died in 1986 at age 70 from pancreatic cancer, alone and estranged from much of his family. At the time of his death, his estate was valued at less than $100,000. A grim end for a man who once stood tall among Hollywood elites. William Smithers, who portrayed the cold and calculating Jeremy Wendell, head of Western Oil, joined Dallas in his early 50s. His portrayal of a ruthless corporate predator added depth and menace to the show's business conflicts. Off-screen, Smithers was known for his intellect and intensity, but his personal life remained relatively private. He was married once to actress Sigrid Valdis but divorced within a few years. They had no children. Though dedicated to his craft, Smithers's insistence on artistic integrity limited his career. After Dallas, he battled Hollywood over unfair casting practices, suing a major studio for blacklisting, a legal battle that won respect but ended his career. Financially, the lawsuit drained him. In his later years, he moved to Vermont and focused on stage work, but his fame faded. No public appearances or updates have been recorded in decades, and he is presumed deceased. If alive, he would be 98 years old in 2025. His last known net worth was around $250,000, and he reportedly lived in relative isolation, surrounded by books, theater scripts, and the few mementos from a career that promised more than it delivered. Jared Martin, who played the romantic and noble Dusty Farlow, joined Dallas in his early 40s, capturing viewers' hearts as Sue Ellen's gentle lover and rodeo champion. Dusty's chivalrous spirit and sensitivity provided a contrast to the show's usual cutthroat men. Off-screen, Martin lived a life riddled with disappointment. He married twice, first to Nancy Fales, with whom he had 1 son, Christian Martin, and later to Karen Latham, but both marriages ended in divorce due to his frequent absences and emotional unavailability. After Dallas, roles dried up, and he turned to directing low-budget sci-fi television while battling depression and career regret. Diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in his early 70s, he spent his final years in quiet obscurity in Pennsylvania. Despite a background in fine arts and writing, financial troubles plagued him, especially due to mounting healthcare costs. Martin died in 2017 at age 75, with an estimated estate of only $100,000. He was remembered by close friends as introspective, talented, and gentle, but ultimately a man haunted by the heights of early fame and the crushing fall that followed. Morgan Woodward, who portrayed Punk Anderson on Dallas, was 52 years old when he first appeared as the gruff yet steadfast family friend to the Ewings. Known for his rugged face and commanding presence, Woodward's character was a rancher loyal to the Ewing dynasty, often offering wisdom during the show's most intense family moments. Off-screen, Woodward lived a life shadowed by personal grief. Though he never married, he was once engaged to a Texas-born actress who tragically died in a car accident in 1958, a loss he never fully recovered from. He had no children and often spoke of regrets over not having a family. His post-Dallas career dwindled, reduced mostly to minor guest roles in television. He suffered from severe depression in his later years, exacerbated by isolation and hearing loss, and was nearly blind in his final decade. He spent his last years in a care facility in California, largely forgotten by Hollywood. Despite his tragic decline, he was known to donate to veterans organizations. Morgan Woodward died in 2019 at the age of 93 from natural causes. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated to be worth approximately $750,000, much of it in property and residuals from Gunsmoke and Dallas. Don Starr, who played the suave and business-savvy Jordan Lee on Dallas, was 60 when he joined the show. As an oilman and longtime ally of the Ewings, Lee was known for his slick charm and occasional moral conflict when it came to business dealings. Starr's real life, however, was much less glamorous. He married twice, first to college sweetheart Laura Mayfield, with whom he had one son, Daniel, who died of leukemia at age 12, leaving Don devastated. His second marriage to talent agent Barbara Klein ended in divorce after 17 years due to Starr's struggles with alcohol and depression. After Dallas, his acting prospects evaporated, and he returned to teaching drama in a small Texas town. He struggled financially, at one point declaring bankruptcy in the early 90s. Starr was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and spent his final years in declining health and relative obscurity. He died in 1995 at age 77 due to complications from the disease. His estate was modest, valued at under $300,000, largely in savings and a modest pension. Martha Scott, known for portraying the elegant and emotionally protective Patricia Shepard, brought a touch of old Hollywood to Dallas. At 65, she stepped into the role of the mother of Sue Ellen and Kristen, offering a dignified counterbalance to the show's turmoil. In real life, Scott was a respected actress who had been nominated for an Oscar in the 1940s, but her later years were plagued with personal sorrow. She was twice married. Her second husband, Mel Powell, died of cancer in 1998, but long before that, their marriage was rocked by infidelity and her son Carlton's substance abuse issues, which culminated in his tragic suicide in 1989. She continued acting in small stage productions but suffered financial strain after a failed investment in a theater company. Toward the end of her life, she suffered from dementia and lived in assisted care. She died in 2003 at the age of 90 from natural causes. Her estate, including residuals and a few real estate holdings, was estimated at just over $1.2 million. Audrey Landers, who played the sultry and ambitious singer Afton Cooper, joined Dallas at 23 and quickly became a fan favorite due to her character's romantic entanglement with Cliff Barnes. Landers' on-screen charm masked a personal life filled with struggles for identity and recognition beyond her beauty. Born in 1956, she pursued a music career post-Dallas that never achieved mainstream success, and she often expressed frustration about being typecast. She married businessman Donald Berkowitz in the 1980s and had twin sons, Adam and Daniel, but the marriage ended in a quiet divorce in the early 2000s amid rumors of emotional estrangement and infidelity. Landers had a difficult relationship with her overbearing mother, who managed her early career and pushed her into constant competition with her sister Judy. Though still working sporadically in European TV and independent films, Audrey now lives privately in Florida. She has reportedly struggled with chronic anxiety and financial instability, with her net worth estimated around $500,000 due to past failed business ventures and diminished royalties. Deborah Renard, who portrayed the sharp and loyal secretary Sly Lovegren on Dallas, joined the show in her early 20s. Her character became a subtle yet essential fixture in J.R. Ewing's inner circle. Off-screen, Renard, born in 1959, experienced fleeting fame followed by a long, quiet disappearance from the spotlight. She married Oscar-winning writer, director Paul Haggis in the 1990s, and they had one son, James. However, their marriage ended in divorce after allegations of infidelity and intense professional rivalry. Renard's career stalled post-Dallas, and she took up teaching acting and writing, but financial pressure mounted after her divorce. She was also drawn into Haggis's high-profile legal battles in recent years, which strained her emotionally and financially. She has admitted to struggling with clinical depression and agoraphobia. Though she has made a few minor appearances in independent projects, she mostly lives reclusively in New York. Her estimated net worth is approximately $350,000, sustained mostly through. Which character from Dallas, TV series 1978 to 1991, holds a special place in your heart? How does it make you feel knowing that some of the beloved cast members are no longer with us? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments below. If you've been enjoying this content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching.